I want you to just close your eyes for a second. Seriously, just humor me.
Always a dangerous request on this show.
Yeah, fair enough. But visualize the room you're in right now. Imagine it's late. I'm talking the dead of night. 2, maybe 3 in the morning.
The witching hour for internet deep rabbit hole.
Exactly. The house is completely silent. You can maybe hear the hum of the refrigerator in the other room. And the only light comes from the blue glow of your monitor, casting those long, weird shadows on the wall behind you.
Setting a very specific scene here.
I have to, because we've all been there. You're sitting there and you need to search for something, well, something sensitive.
Right, that late night spiral where curiosity just gets the better of you. Or panic.
Mostly panic, let's be honest. It's not just idle curiosity, it's anxiety. Maybe it's a medical symptom that's been terrifying you, some weird pain you haven't even told your spouse about yet.
Oh, Dr. Google at 3 a.m. is the worst.
It really is. Or maybe you're checking the LinkedIn profile of an ex-partner just to see if they've moved on or if they're doing better than you.
We've all done it.
We have. Or maybe it's professional. You're looking up a competitor's salary, or you're researching whistleblowing laws because you saw something at work you really didn't like.
High-stakes stuff.
Yeah, it's private. It is the stuff that lives in the dark.
It's the digital equivalent of whispering.
I love that. The digital equivalent of whispering. So you do the ritual, you know the drill, we all do it, you close your other tab.
You have to clear the workspace.
Right. You click that little button to turn on the VPN because, well, you paid for that 3-year subscription, so you might as well use it.
Get your money's worth.
And then, the piece de resistance, you open a fresh incognito window.
Ah, the safety blanket. The dark mode safety blanket.
The screen goes dark. You see that little icon we all know, the spy with the fedora and the glasses.
Probably very covert.
Right. And the text pops up. You are now browsing privately. And you feel safe. You feel, I don't know, invisible.
Like you've gone off the grid.
Exactly. So you type your search, you get your answer, you close the window, one click, gone. You let out that heavy sigh of relief because the evidence is destroyed.
It's digital hygiene.
Yeah.
We feel like we've locked the front door, pulled the blackout curtains, checked under the bed, and just whispered the secret into a total void.
But here is the cold, hard reality that we are going to unpack today on this deep dive. That sigh of relief, it was entirely premature. It was a lie.
A very comforting lie, but yes, a lie.
Because while you locked the front door and you pulled the curtains, you didn't realize there was someone already standing in the room with you.
Yeah.
Watching over your shoulder, taking meticulous notes, recording every hesitation, every backspace, every single thought.
And to be clear here, because usually on this show we're talking about the big bad wolves of tech,
Right. The usual suspects.
Yeah. But we aren't talking about the NSA today. We aren't talking about your internet service provider logging your traffic. We aren't even talking about Google or Facebook tracking pixels.
No, we are talking about something much more intimate. We are talking about that little browser extension you installed maybe 3 months ago.
The helpful one.
The very helpful one. The one that promised to summarize PDF files for free. Or the one that said it would supercharge your writing.
Those AI assistants living in your toolbar.
Exactly. That helpful little AI assistant. It saw everything. It recorded the medical search. It logged the ex-partner's name. It tracked the salary data. And it sent it all to a server halfway across the world before you even hit enter.
This is what the industry is starting to call shadow AI. And honestly, looking at the research stack we have for this deep dive, it is one of the most unnerving shifts in cybersecurity I've seen in a decade.
It's terrifying because it flips the script on how we think about malware.
Right, because this isn't malware. This isn't a virus you caught by clicking some shady link on a streaming site. This is a voluntary layer of surveillance. You installed it yourself.
That is the part that keeps me up at night. We are inviting the spy in. We're literally holding the door open for them and offering them a coffee.
Pretty much.
So today, our mission is to go deep on this. We are looking at the shadow AI phenomenon. We're going to break down the anatomy of this spy, how it actually works technically, because I think people fundamentally misunderstand how browsers function.
They really do. They see it as a static window.
We're going to look at a genuinely terrifying study from University College London UCL from 2025 that basically blows the lid off the incognito myth. If you think incognito saves you, you really need to hear this part.
Yeah, that study is a wake-up call.
We're also going to talk about how this is destroying corporate secrecy, turning your secure work laptop into basically a broadcasting device.
CISO's worst nightmare.
Oh, absolutely. And finally, we're going to explain why simply deleting the app, dragging it to the trash doesn't delete the dirt they already have on you.
It's a lot to cover. And I'll be honest, as someone who usually loves tech, you know me, I'm the optimist usually. I love these new tools. This deep dive made me look at my own browser very, very differently.
I don't blame you.
I've always viewed these extensions as these magical little productivity boosters. Rewrite this email, summarize this massive article. It feels like magic.
But magic always comes with a price. And in this case, the price is total visibility. So let's start with the mechanics, the actual anatomy of the spy.
Let's get into it.
Because I think for most people, the browser is just a window, like a pane of glass. You look through it at the internet. But you're saying these extensions aren't just looking through the window, they're reading the glass.
That's a good starting metaphor. But we really need to get technical for a second to understand why incognito doesn't save you. We have to understand something called the DOM.
AOM.
Exactly. The document object model.
Okay, let's unpack the DOM, because we hear this term in web development circles all the time, but for the average listener, what is it actually? Give us the reality, but try to spare us the textbook jargon if you can.
I'll do my best. Think of a web page not as a flat picture or a PDF document. When you load a site, say the New York Times or your Gmail inbox, your browser isn't just showing you a video feed of a newspaper.
Right, it's not a static image.
No, it is actively constructing a building. The DOM is the blueprint and the skeleton of that building. It defines where the walls are, where the furniture sits, and most importantly, what is written on the whiteboard in the kitchen.
So when I load a page, my browser is essentially building a live 3D model of that page in its memory.
Correct. Every paragraph, every image, every single submit button is an object in this model. It's hierarchical. You have the body of the page. Inside that, you have a divider. Inside that, a paragraph. It's a tree structure.
A tree structure, okay.
And crucially, and this is the important part, it's dynamic. When you type, you're actively changing the DOM in real time.
Okay, so that's the page. That's the environment we're operating in. Now, where does the extension fit in? Where does the spy actually sit in this house?
Well, when you install a browser extension, let's say a popular AI writing assistant, or maybe a coupon finder, or a grammar checker, you usually grant it a specific permission during the installation process.
Oh, the little pop-up box, the one we all completely ignore.
Exactly that one. If you actually stop and read the pop-up, which nobody does because we just want the thing to work immediately, it usually says something like, read and change all your data on all websites.
Read and change all your data. I mean, we just click allow because we think, well, it needs to read the page to summarize it, or it needs to read my email to check the spelling. That makes logical sense.
And that logic holds up perfectly. That is the trap. Technically, what that permission actually does is give the extension full programmatic access to the DOM.
Meaning?
It can see the entire skeleton of the house. It can query any object. It can read every piece of text that appears anywhere on the screen. But here is the kicker, and this is where it gets incredibly dark.
Brace yourselves.
The DOM isn't just what is displayed to you as static text. It includes the input fields, the text boxes, the areas where you are actively typing.
So if I'm typing an email...
It sees the text appearing in the field within the DOM, character by character.
Okay, but hold on. Let's play this scenario out, because this is where the paranoia really sets in for me. What if I don't hit send?
Doesn't matter?
Let me finish. What if I type a really angry email to my boss? I'm furious. I call him everything in the book. I vent all my frustration. And then I take a breath. I think, no, that's a terrible idea. And I backspace and delete the whole thing. I never hit send. The network never saw it. My boss never saw it.
The extension saw it.
It saw the deleted text.
Yeah.
Even though it never left my machine.
Yes, absolutely. Because the extension is monitoring the DOM in real time using event listeners.
Event listeners.
Yeah, tiny scripts that wait for you to do something, like a key down or key up event. Especially these AI tools that offer autocomplete or style suggestions. Think about how they function. To suggest the next word, they have to know what the previous word was as you type it.
Right, they need the context.
Exactly. They are watching the keystrokes populate the field to know what to suggest. That hesitation, that deleted sentence, that draft you completely discarded. To the extension, that is just data in the DOM. It was instantiated, therefore it was seen.
That is incredibly invasive. It's like having a telepathic stalker. It's not just reading my mail. It's reading my mind while I'm forming the thought. It's capturing the intent before the action even happens.
And that intent data is often way more valuable than the final product. The things you almost said reveal so much more about your psychology than the polite, sanitized email you actually ended up sending.
Wow. Okay, and this brings us perfectly to that study you mentioned earlier. The University College London, UCL, released a study in 2025, so this is very fresh research.
Very fresh. State-of-the-art testing on current extensions.
And they specifically wanted to test this DOM reading behavior in relation to incognito, or private browsing modes. Because the common wisdom, the thing we've all been told for a decade, is that incognito turns off the tracking. That's the whole point. If I go incognito, the extension should just shut up, right?
That's the common wisdom, yes.
Yeah.
But it's technically incorrect. We need to clarify what incognito actually does under the hood.
Please do, because I think a lot of people are relying on a broken shield.
Incognito mode really only does two main things. First, it stops your browser from saving your history locally on your device's hard drive. Second, it isolates cookies, so websites can't track your session as easily.
Okay.
It essentially locks the front door so your family or your roommates can't see what you were doing when they use the same computer. It's local hygiene. It's not network invisibility.
But what about the extensions? Do they get blocked?
This is where it gets tricky. Most modern browsers now allow extensions to run in incognito mode. Sometimes you have to check a little box in the settings that says allow in private.
Right, I've seen that.
But here's the thing. Many users enable that for something benign, like a password manager or an ad blocker, and forget about it. Or, in some enterprise configurations, they're active by default. The UCL study took a hard look at this. They found that extensions like Merlin and Cider,
And these are huge, right?
massive,
Yeah.
very popular AI assistants with millions and millions of active users. The study found they were fully active in capturing DOM data during incognito sessions.
So to go back to our house analogy from earlier, I locked the front door to keep the neighbors out, that's incognito, but I left the window wide open and I actually invited the burglar inside to help me rearrange the furniture.
That is the perfect analogy. You created a tunnel that is safe from your local history file, but you embedded a spy right inside the tunnel with you. The UCL researchers found that because these extensions have those high-level read and change data permissions, they bypass the local protections of incognito completely.
They're just sitting there.
They are sitting on top of the browser process itself. They are, as the researchers called it, the camera inside the cursor.
The camera inside the cursor. That is a truly chilling image. It completely changes the way you think about typing. It's not just static text on a page. It's the real-time process of thinking being broadcast.
It is. And it's not just the what, it's the how. Because they have access to the keystroke events, they can analyze your typing speed, your pauses, your frantic backspaces. That is behavioral biometric data, and it's incredibly valuable.
But wait, let's play devil's advocate for a second. In the case of these AI tools, this isn't necessarily malicious hacking in the traditional sense, is it?
No, it's not, and that's what makes it so insidious. These are legitimate companies.
Right. They have flashy websites, they have support teams, they have premium subscription tiers. They aren't Russian hackers sitting in a basement wearing balaclavas.
Exactly. They're offering a service. You want them to summarize the page. Well, they have to read the page to summarize it. You want them to rewrite your clumsy email. They have to read the clumsy email to rewrite it.
So it's a feature, not a bug.
Precisely. It is a core function of the product you installed. The issue is that users don't understand the architectural implications of that function. We think, I'm just using this tool for this one specific PDF.
But it doesn't turn off when you close the PDF.
Right. The tool is active on every single tab unless you manually go into the extension settings and disable it. It's not just looking at the PDF, it's looking at the bank account tab you have open next to it. It's looking at the secure patient portal open in the third tab.
It's always on, which brings us, I think, naturally to the corporate nightmare scenario. Because if I'm doing this at home, maybe they find out I have a weird rash or I'm looking for a new job. Bad, sure, but personal. But what happens when we take this shadow AI into the office?
This is where the scale of the problem just explodes. And this is exactly why CISO's chief information security officers across the globe are starting to panic behind closed doors.
Walk me through a scenario.
Imagine this. You are a mid-level manager at a publicly traded company. You are working on a massive, highly confidential merger deal. It is top secret. If this gets out prematurely, stock prices swing wildly, the deal collapses, people go to jail for insider trading.
Super high stakes.
You are drafting an email to the other company's CEO. You are putting the final terms together, and you want to sound professional, maybe a little clearer, a little more authoritative.
So I highlight the text, the
Yeah.
exact text that contains the highly confidential pricing structure and the exact date of the merger. And I click my little magical AI extension button that says fix the style or make this more professional.
Right. And in that split second, Let's trace what happens to that text technically. It
Okay.
doesn't get processed locally on your laptop
Why not?
because your work laptop doesn't have the compute power to run a massive large language model like GPT or Claude locally. It just can't handle it.
So it has to leave the machine.
Yes, the extension packages your highlighted text, your secret merger details into a JSON payload.
But just some payload, just a data packet.
A very structured data packet. It is then sent via an API call over the open internet to the server of the third-party extension developer.
And where exactly is that server?
That's the million-dollar question. It could be anywhere. It could be a secure AWS instance in Silicon Valley, or it could be a rented server rack in a jurisdiction with absolutely zero data privacy laws. We often don't know because these extensions are frequently just wrappers.
Wrappers? What do you mean?
Thin layers of code that basically just take your text and forward it to another backend we can't see, like OpenAI's API, but sometimes through several middleman servers first.
So I just took the most sensitive trade secret my company possesses, and I voluntarily, with a single click, mailed it to a random startup.
You did. And that startup processes it through their large language model. They likely store a log of the request
Oh, why would they log it?
to quote their privacy policies
Yeah.
for debugging purposes or to improve the model. And then finally, they send you back the polite, professional version of your email.
And from a legal perspective, that is a complete nightmare. Because if that data gets misused or if that tiny little wrapper AI company gets hacked, which happens constantly, your trade secrets are just gone. They're on the dark web.
And good luck suing them. Because if you read the terms of service, which again, absolutely nobody does, it almost certainly contains a clause stating that by using the service, you grant them a broad, royalty-free, worldwide license to use your input data to improve their services.
You agreed to the espionage?
You sign the permission slip.
Yeah.
It's not a leak. It's a feature you consented to.
I talk to IT security guys sometimes, and they are so obsessed with firewalls. They run these elaborate phishing email simulations to catch employees clicking bad links. But I bet if you asked a CISO, list every single browser extension installed on every single laptop in your company right now, they couldn't do it.
Most of them couldn't even come close. Corporate mobile device management, or MDM systems, are really great at controlling what software you install at the OS level, like preventing you from installing a video game or running a suspicious executable file.
Right, the classic restriction.
The browser extensions often fly completely under the radar. They live inside the browser, and the browser itself, Chrome, Edge, Safari, is a trusted application.
So the MDM sees Chrome acting normal and ignores it.
Exactly. Unless the IT policy specifically locks down the Chrome Web Store entirely, which makes employees incredibly angry because then they can't install their ad blockers or password managers. Employees can usually install whatever productivity tools they want inside the browser.
It's shadow IT. That's the old term for employees using unsanctioned software.
Exactly.
But this is shadow AI. It's smarter, it's faster, and it's infinitely hungrier for data.
And it's invisible. That is the key differentiator. It sits there silently in the toolbar until you need it. But as we established with the DOM explanation, it's watching even when you don't actively invoke it.
I want to zoom out a bit because listening to this, it feels like the final nail in the coffin for online privacy. We've been fighting this battle for, 15 years now?
At least. It's been a constant arms race, a very expensive game of cat and mouse.
Let's walk through the timeline. Because I feel like every time we build a wall to protect ourselves, we immediately dig a tunnel right under it. It's like we have this bizarre compulsion to sabotage our own security for a tiny bit of convenience.
It really is a tragic timeline when you lay it all out. Let's go back to roughly 2010. That was the era when incognito mode or private browsing really became mainstream. Google Chrome pushed it hard.
I remember that vividly. The promise was so seductive, now I am invisible. It felt rebellious, like putting on sunglasses indoors.
And for the time, and for its specific purpose, it felt true. If your spouse or your parents got on the family computer, they couldn't see your history. It was local privacy. But we quickly realized our ISP, the company actually providing the internet line, could still see every single DNS request.
They knew exactly which sites you were visiting.
Right, so we weren't invisible to the network at all, just to our roommates.
So then came 2015, the era of the VPN. I swear, every YouTuber, every podcaster, probably us included at some point, was selling a VPN subscription. Hide your traffic from your ISP, military-grade encryption.
The golden age of the VPN sponsor read, and the belief shifted. People thought, now I am truly secure. I'm encrypted. My ISP sees nothing. I am in an impenetrable tunnel.
What?
But then we started realizing that the websites themselves, Facebook, Google, the ad networks, were tracking us across the web using cookies and invisible tracking pixels. So you were driving in a secure tunnel, yes, but you were driving straight to a surveillance camp where everyone already knew your license plate.
So we hit 2020, the rise of the privacy browsers. You had Brave, you had Firefox pivoting hard to focus on privacy. Apple started blocking cross-site tracking by default on Safari. The GDPR cookie banner started popping up everywhere. We thought, okay, no more cookies, now I'm finally safe.
And now here we are, the era of AI extensions. 2023, 2024, 2025, we have spent 15 years building these massive, complex walls. Encryption, VPN tunnels, cookie blockers, strict browser policies. And what do?
We see a shiny button.
We see a shiny button that says, write my email for me, and we willingly install a piece of software that sits right inside the walls, effectively recording the screen.
The irony is physically painful. Every new layer of protection we engineered is rendered completely useless by the user just inviting the spy in through the front door. We are the weak link. The tech works, but human behavior breaks it.
It's the convenience trap. Convenience always wins over privacy. Always.
Yeah.
The utility of having an AI summarize a 40-page legal document instantly is so high that we willingly ignore the fact that we are bypassing 15 years of security evolution.
You just hit accept.
We are back to zero. Actually, no, I'd argue we are much worse than zero, because in 2010, Google tracked your clicks. In 2025, the AI extension tracks your thoughts. It tracks your hesitations.
Okay, so I'm listening to this as a user, and I'm officially panicking. I'm thinking about that extension I installed last month, the one that summarizes YouTube videos. I'm thinking, I'm going to delete it right now. Problem solved, right? I just go to Manage Extensions, drag it to the trash, restart Chrome, and I'm good. Clean slate.
I really wish it were that simple. But this is what data scientists call the zombie data problem.
Zombie data. I already hate the sound of that.
You can uninstall the extension, yes. That removes the local software from your browser. It stops the DOM camera from recording any future actions, but it does absolutely nothing to the data they have already collected over the past month.
The logs, the drafts, the search history.
It's all just sitting on the remote servers. And remember, these aren't just local text files sitting in a folder you can just drag to a recycle bin. They're often fed into what we call vector databases.
Okay, stop right there. Explain vector databases. That sounds like heavy sci-fi jargon. Let's break that down for the listener.
In modern AI architecture, data isn't just stored in neat little rows and columns like a traditional SQL database or an Excel sheet where you can just find row 4 and hit delete. It's converted into embeddings.
Embeddings, what are those?
An embedding is a mathematical representation of the meaning of the text. It turns a sentence into a list of thousands of floating point numbers. This is what allows the AI to understand context, to remember concepts, and to make logical associations.
So it maps the meaning of my private email into math.
Exactly. It maps it into a multidimensional space. And once your data, your personal secrets are ingested and mapped into that massive vector space, it becomes incredibly difficult to isolate and extract just your specific piece to delete it. It's baked in.
Baked in. Okay, I need an analogy for this.
It's like trying to remove a specific drop of red food coloring from a gallon bucket of water after you've already stirred it. The water is pink now. You can't just unstir the drop.
That is deeply depressing. So how do I kill the zombie? How do I actually get my data back, or at least destroyed?
You have to fight the bureaucracy, and the bureaucracy of removal is intentionally designed to make you give up. It is dark pattern design at its absolute finest. Let's say you want to scrub your data. Step 1.
Okay.
You have to find the privacy policy. Have you ever actually tried to find that specific privacy policy for a random, single-purpose browser extension?
Oh, it's a nightmare. It's usually a broken link on the web store, or it takes you to a generic Notion page that just says, "We value your privacy," and has absolutely no contact info. Or it's hosted on a domain in a different language entirely.
Exactly. They hide it. But let's pretend you are persistent and you find it. Step 2. You have to locate the contact information for the data protection officer, the DPO.
Let me guess. It's not a real person.
Often, no. It's just a generic support at random-ai-startup.com email address.
Which nobody ever checks. It probably goes straight to a dev spam folder.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But you press on. Step 3. You have to send a formal legal request. If you are in Europe, you cite the GDPR right to be forgotten. If you are in California, you cite the CCPA. You formally demand deletion of your data logs.
And then they have to comply, right? That's the law.
Then you wait. Legally, under those frameworks, they usually have 30 days to respond to your request. But here is the massive jurisdiction trap.
I was wondering about that.
If that company is registered in, say, a country with no data privacy treaties
Hmm.
with your home country, which is very common for these pop-up AI tools, they can just ghost you. They literally do not have to reply. There is no global internet police force that is going to fly to their headquarters, kick down the door, and force them to delete your search history from their vector database.
But what about the platforms? The Chrome Web Store or the Edge add-on store? Don't they help? I mean, Google and Microsoft run these massive marketplaces. They make billions. Don't they vet these developers before putting them in the store?
Not in the way you intuitively think they do.
Yeah.
The app stores verify that the extension isn't a traditional virus. They run automated checks for malicious code that might brick your computer or scripts that try to steal your crypto wallet keys directly.
So they check for obvious theft.
Right, but they generally do not verify what the extension does with the data after it legally leaves your browser via that API call we talked about earlier.
Mhm.
Once the payload is sent to their third-party server, it is out of the store's jurisdiction. It is off-platform.
So Google says, hey, the app itself is safe to install, but whatever happens on their server is between you and God.
Effectively, yes. Unless you have a very expensive corporate legal team on retainer ready to file international injunctions, you are essentially just shouting into the void.
Why are they doing this? I mean, I know the baseline answer is always money, but break down the economics of this for me. Why are these tools free? Building AI isn't cheap. Renting NVIDIA GPUs to run these models isn't cheap. How can they afford to summarize my PDFs and rewrite my emails for $0?
Because you are the product. It's the oldest cliche in Silicon Valley, but with AI, the stakes are exponentially higher. Behavioral data is the new oil. But it's not crude oil. It's highly refined aviation fuel.
But isn't that what cookies did? We've been the product since 1999. Target ads, banner ads. This isn't a new concept.
It's true, but you have to understand the difference in data quality. Cookies track where you go. Browser AI tracks what you do, how you think, and what you intend to do. It is a much richer, much more terrifying data set. Think about the difference in granularity.
Give me an example.
Okay, a traditional tracking cookie knows you visited a car dealership website. It knows you looked at a specific SUV, and it knows you stayed on the page for 5 minutes. That's it. That's the extent of its knowledge.
Okay, so then I get banner ads for that SUV for the next month. Annoying, but standard.
Right. Now, look at a browser AI. The extension knows you highlighted the price of the SUV. It knows you copied the financing terms. It knows you opened a new tab to look at an auto loan calculator to check your monthly budget. And then, crucially, it knows you opened Gmail and wrote an email to your wife saying, I don't think we can afford this right now. Let's look at the used model instead.
Wow. That is a massive difference. That's not just location or browsing data. That is intimate psychological data.
It is a complete psychological profile. It's fuller and more predictive than any cookie tracker could ever dream of being. That data is incredibly valuable. It's used for hyper-targeted advertising, yes, but it's also used for training future, more persuasive AI models. And it's used for building consumer profiles that are sold in bulk to data brokers behind closed doors. They aren't just selling male age 30 to 40 likes cars.
What are they selling?
They're selling male age 30 to 40, currently anxious about personal finances, prefer safety over speed, likely to downgrade to a used model if presented with a discount code today. That specific profile is worth 10, maybe 50 times what the basic cookie data is worth.
And there is a legal angle here too, right? Because we touched on the corporate leaks and trade secrets earlier, but what about legal discovery in courts?
Oh, this is the absolute next frontier of digital law. We already saw the beginnings of this with ChatGPT.
Right, the lawyers using it to write briefs and getting caught.
Not just that. People were using ChatGPT to do their daily work or ask sensitive questions, and then those logs were subpoenaed in active court cases. Now scale that up. Imagine a lawsuit, a messy divorce case, a nasty custody battle, or a massive corporate espionage suit.
Okay.
The opposing lawyers aren't just going to ask for your emails anymore. They aren't just asking for your text messages or your WhatsApp backups.
They're coming for the browser itself.
They're going to ask for your AI interaction logs.
Your Honor, we'd like to see the prompt history and the capture DOM data from the defendant's browser extension on the night of the 12th.
Exactly. Because it's a third-party server, it can be subpoenaed directly from the company. And the user doesn't even know those logs exist until they're presented on a screen in a courtroom and used against them. It is literal evidence you created against yourself, entirely by accident, thinking you were just being a productive, efficient worker.
It creates a permanent, searchable record of your most fleeting thoughts. things you typed in anger and deleted, things you searched for in a moment of sheer panic at 3 a.m. It turns your own browser into a star witness against you.
A witness that never sleeps, never forgets, and absolutely cannot be cross-examined.
This has been incredibly heavy. I feel like we've peeled back a layer of the internet that most people just blissfully ignore on a daily basis. We were all just sitting there clicking, accept, install, allow permissions.
It is heavy, but it is fundamentally necessary to understand. We need to stop thinking of the web browser as a passive window. It is an active, highly complex environment. It's basically an operating system in itself at this point. And every single time we add a so-called helper to that environment, we are adding an active observer.
We worry so much about the cameras on the street. We worry about Big Brother. We worry about facial recognition and the government listening to our phone calls.
We project all our paranoia outward, but we completely ignore the camera we pointed directly at our own thoughts.
At 2 in the morning, when we are at our most vulnerable.
And why did we install it? We installed it for free because it summarizes a PDF so we don't have to read it.
And the question that we have to leave hanging in the air for the listener today is, who exactly is reading that summary right now?
That really is the question, isn't it?
You know, this whole conversation, it really just makes you paranoid. I'm looking at my own screen right now, looking at the little icons in my toolbar, and I'm just wondering.
It should make you paranoid.
Yeah.
A healthy dose of paranoia might be the only real privacy tool we have left.
Hey,
Yeah.
are you sure this recording isn't being scraped right now?